The Jimmy Z Show.
Check 1 2 1 2. Yeah. 1 2. Yeah, we got pretty good Balls voice there. Yeah. Checking 1 2 with the Balls voice. Yeah. Hello. All right. I think this'll do. I think it'll do. I think it'll work. So far, it's going to work. All right. Yeah.
You are listening to the Jimmy Z Show, Boss Talk Radio, all across America.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Good. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
How
we
do you
can.
build America's largest wireless network?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Good.
By never being satisfied.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Good.
Until no matter where you go,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
your
we
call
can.
goes through.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Good.
Is this the right one for an argument?
I've told you once.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
When?
Just now.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Didn't. Didn't.
I'm telling you, I did.
You did not.
Oh, I'm sorry, is this a 5-minute argument or the full half hour?
Oh, just the 5-minute one.
Fine. Thank you. Anyway, I did.
You most certainly did
Now,
not.
let's get one thing quite clear. I most definitely told you.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, this isn't an argument.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. It's just contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
It is. You just contradicted me.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you did.
No.
You did just then.
No, nonsense.
Oh, look, this is futile.
No, it isn't.
The Jimmy Z Show is produced, written, and directed by Jimmy Z. The show is wholly owned by Jimmy Z. All rights reserved. Content from other sources belong to the copyright holder and/or speaker. In each case, Jimmy Z can be reached via email at thejimmyzshow@gmail.com. The Jimmy Z Show is produced, written, and directed by Jimmy Z. The show is wholly owned by Jimmy Z. All rights reserved. Content from other sources belong to the copyright holder and/or speaker. In each case, Jimmy Z can be reached via email at thejimmyzshow@gmail.com.
Jimmy?
When you're telling these little stories, have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Good. We can finally start the big meeting.
Let's begin, shall we? Shall we? Hi, everybody.
Hello, my friends, and welcome. It's Jimmy Z and the Big Jimmy Z Show. Finally, another Big Jimmy Z Show. I know it's been a while. I apologize. It's been a long couple of weeks trying to get things up and running. This thing with the mixer has been one of the most frustrating and difficult things for me to deal with in a long time because I can't make it work the way I want it to work. And I can't get the microphone to do what the microphone should do. Like even now, it's not doing what it was doing a number of minutes ago. God. I could put a little more volume on it, but then there's noise in the background. Oh, and by the way, I'm still on the lavalier mic. The $75 lavalier mic. It's not Electro Voice. What is it? I got the package back here. It is Audio Technica, and it's one of the cheaper ones because you can spend easily, like Pastor Jeff has a really nice $350, $400 lavalier mic, and it works really well for him. But, you know, one of the reasons why I got into doing this, and one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this, is because I am a persnickety recording guy. I have been since we started doing those cassettes, my friend Steve and I, back in junior high school. And so it was all about getting the sound really cool and making your voice sound cool, even though when we were 13 or 14 years old, we sounded like squirrels. Hi, how are you? Yes, this is me on the cassette. But then when I got everything hooked up, all of a sudden, the things that worked a certain way on my computer are working differently now, which is just freaking crazy. But like playing the music that I have, the opening music theme, it wasn't responding the same way at all. Not at all. And I'm looking at the metering as I'm talking, and that's not operating the same way. And I used to have the fan on in the background and you couldn't hear it. Now you can hear it just fine. So I had to shut off the fan. And then when I finally got everything in such a way that I could move forward and go ahead and do this crummy show, then one of the neighbor's dogs started barking. And I got to tell you, this barking dog stuff, the people who leave, go out to dinner or something, go visit friends, and they leave the dog inside the house to just bark away every time something annoys the dog in the house or the dog hears a noise outside, it's bark, 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 bark. And then there's a pause and you think the dog is done. Bark, 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 bark. And I can't stand it. You know, we have perfect weather right now. I don't want to run the air conditioner because, of course, that electricity is expensive. So it's like between 70 and 74 degrees during the day, and it goes down into the low 60s at night. You open up the windows, and it's wonderful. I want to take advantage of that. So anyway, I got the mixer hooked up, but for some reason, the two mics that I have, the really nice microphones, pick up all kinds of noise, both background noise and electrical noise. One of the mics is really bad about picking up the modem, the high-speed modem I have, and every time there is a transfer of data, you can hear the modem going, and that's not going to work. I'm not going to record a program with that going on. Oh, that's a real professional there, dude. And so I'm plugged in the lavalier mic, which has the jack for it is okay. We're going to get into some stuff here where some people are rolling their eyes, but whatever. It has a jack of it's a 1/8 inch input jack, and in order to use it in the mixer has 1/4 inch input, so I had to get a jack adapter, and I used the adapters that I have on my desk here, and those adapters didn't work and I had 3 of them, but all 3 of them were so loose when you plugged in the 1/8 inch jack that it wouldn't make a proper connection. So I had to go into my audio cables and crap box and dig down in the bottom. I have a box of cables and wires and jacks and all kinds of crap that I've been carrying with me for, how long have I had that box? I don't know, 35, 40 years. And I had to dig down into that box and I found like 8 different jacks that would possibly work and bring them back here and go one by one until I found one that worked. And so that's how it's hooked up. A $75 microphone instead of a couple of $400 state-of-the-art microphones. And, finally, I was getting so frustrated last weekend. This all began on Saturday when my back was better enough. And my back allowed me to hook everything up, and I hooked everything up, and I plugged in the mics, and it wasn't working at all. It's been an evolutionary process, and so frustrating. I think I need to get a broadcast microphone, an Electro Voice RE20, which means a lot to most of you. But It's a really nice microphone, and I think it'll serve me better, but I don't want to get it. You know, I see these guys like, Officer Tatum. And he sits there, and he's got a microphone on a stand next to him, and the microphone is like 6 or 8 inches away from his mouth, and it sounds perfect. Perfect. Oh, and then the new system that I'm set up in here. Hang on a second. I want to see if I got it. Does that go? No. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, right there. Anyway, Officer Tatum has that microphone sitting a good distance from his mouth, a safe distancing, and it sounds perfect, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, what is he doing that I don't do? And I can't figure it out. It's like I need to pay an audio engineer $200 to come over here and diagnose what the hell I'm doing wrong. And I think that if I bring somebody in here and I show them, oh, this is how I got it hooked up, they're going to laugh. Oh, my God, you're doing everything wrong. And maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. What do I know? I don't know. I like to say sometimes I don't know a lot more than I know. But anyway, it's working now for now. And it's good enough because I was really getting annoyed not being able to do the show. And last weekend, I just completely shut down after a number of hours of messing and tinkering and not being able to pull it off. I just shut everything down and I pulled out my box of Mission Impossible DVDs, the old television show, not the movies, not those crappy movies by Tom Cruise. No freaking way. I am not interested in that crap Tom Cruise put together. God, compared to the TV shows, they're awful. If the TV show is a 9, Tom Cruise movies are a -20. I hate them. Back in my day, we used to have Mission Impossible, and it was well written, and we liked it. Man, they wrote great stories, and they had great technology, and they took the time to show Barney. I forget the actor's name, the black guy, and Greg Morris. And Barney would go through all kinds of technical stuff that he was doing with wires and with pulleys and all kinds of stuff. And they took the time to show how it was done instead of rushing from one action sequence to another. Great program. So I enjoyed that. And I just said, screw it, I'm not going to do a show. So that's why you haven't heard from me for at least, I guess, a couple of weeks now again. Mucho apologido. That's Hispano for I'm very sorry about that. And I really got to keep more shows coming on a regular basis because I am not going to get this lifted off the ground or have more than a couple of dozen listeners if I don't have a show on a regular basis, especially the shows showing up on Spotify and iTunes and all that crap. Now, I wanted to talk about, remind me, because I also want to talk about kids in masks, which really, I was terribly sad and very angry at the same time. So I'm going to talk about kids in masks. But first, I want to talk about Facebook. Facebook has a new feature, and it's based on all kinds of things. The people who have a page can block you from being able to comment at all kinds of intervals or all different kinds of reasons or settings, I guess is the best way to say it. But what happens is if you have a page, and this is not just like your personal Joe Blow Facebook page. This is if you have a page for your business or for the LA Times or a radio station has a page on Facebook, and they can go in there and they have all these new settings. This has come up in the last week or so. And a friend of mine, a listener, Darla, explained all of this to me. And I hate it. I'm very, very resistant to this kind of crap, but there's nothing we can do about it. The person who has the page can limit you or cut you off completely from commenting. So you still see the crap, you just can't respond to it. And there was something, I guess, a good example is Joan Baez, the singer from the 60s, who must be 120 years old now. And she's a painter now, because I would guess that she really can't sing much anymore. No offense. I mean, she's old and she's unable to sing like she used to. And so she's painting. And she painted a beautiful painting. I use the word beautiful advisedly. She painted this painting of Greta Van. I can't remember the name. It's not the band Greta Lee Jones or whatever they're called, but Greta. She's the girl from Sweden, and she's the big outspoken spokesperson for Earth Day and the climate, and she has all this stuff to say about the climate. I know you know who I'm talking about. I just can't think of her last name, Greta. And she posted this, Joan Baez did, on her Facebook page, and you can buy prints of her painting for $1,200. $1,200 for a painting of Greta. And if you get it framed, it's $2,400. And so I took that picture of Greta and I put a dishonest John mustache, a black mustache that comes way out to the sides, and a goatee, a black goatee, and some really bad dishonest John. You remember the guy in the cartoons, Dishonest John? Yeah. And big eyebrows that are angry and evil looking. And I posted that as a comment on her page. And for a day and a half, people were commenting how funny it was. And I was saying, thank you. Oh, man, I think the next morning I saw that and I laughed harder than when I did it the night before. And because it was sitting on Joan Baez's Facebook page. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't able to comment at all anymore. So she cut me off. You can cut people off from commenting. You can cut people off from replying to comments. And so you might be able to comment, but you can't reply to anything. And that's what's happening to me now. There's a tribute band that does all music from 70s pop groups. And I posted something on their page. If you remember a band that had a song called Sky High, You've Blown It All Sky High. Just one of those dumb pop songs from the 70s. And I put the YouTube video on their page. And one of the guys said, oh, man, I love this song. And I replied to him, I can't reply. So I can post on their page. And I can comment on my post, but I cannot reply to comments. That's some of the new crap Facebook is doing. And I gotta tell you, that drives me insane because it makes no sense. They're cutting off human interaction on a social network. It's Facebook. What's the purpose of Facebook? Social interaction. That's all there is to it. That's what it's for. And they're cutting it off. And they're allowing people, if they don't like you, to cut it off. Now, if you want to block me, fine. Block me. If what I say is offensive or troubling or whatever, and you don't want to hear from Big Bad Jimmy Z anymore, fine, cut me off. Block me. Have the balls to block me. But this idea that, okay, we'll just keep him from being able to comment, and that'll drive him nuts because you will see if this happens to you. And this is what I see all the time is that I made a comment like, I don't know, Joe Biden is a potato. And somebody comes along and says, Joe Biden is not a potato. He's the greatest president of all time in the United States. And they'll say something that you really want to respond to, and you can't. You can see everything they say. You cannot reply. You cannot rebut. You cannot debate. And I hate that. That kind of thing is the kind of thing that makes me insane. that kind of crap is, for a guy like me who loves to get into debates and talking about religious, political, social issues, that will drive me nuts. It really, really, really will. Just a minute, I want to try something here and see if the balance thing works on this. If I go over here and I turn this over here, no, it doesn't. I'll be damned. I thought for sure it would. Because I should be able to use the pan button here to pan left or right, and that does not. Now that's really, I think it's because I have the lavalier mic has a stereo jack, and that stereo jack is going into a mono 1/4-inch jack, and then that goes into, so it's not hitting both channels. Fine, whatever. I'm so tired of this. I'm ready to take the expensive microphones I have, put them up on eBay for about half price or maybe a little less so that they sell, and just get rid of them, get a little more cash, put the cash back in my account, and just record like this with my $75, it's so funny, my $75 lavalier microphone clipped to a glass guitar slide and my finger in the guitar slide up next to my mouth, and that's how I'm recording. Professional radio guy. Oh, God, that's funny. It is funny. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Okay, masks. I want to talk about masks. And I'm thinking right now I might just go through a number of things here and talk a bit. And boy, I've got some great audio, though. It's been another couple of weeks. I have so many things piled up that I want to share with you. So I guess we'll just talk through these things and then try to make our way through some audio. And then that'll be it. Oh, by the way, this is the Jimmy Z Show for a Friday, May 21st. We're heading straight into June. And I can't remember if I told you, but the Hollywood Bowl here in California, they are reserving 85% of the seats at their shows this summer. They're going to be open. I didn't think they were going to be open, but it looks like the Hollywood Bowl and the Greek Theater are going to be open. And I don't know what the Greek Theater rules are going to be, but both venues are on property owned by the city of Los Angeles. So guess what? The city of Los Angeles and their draconian mask rules and vaccine rules, all of that applies. You cannot get past Eric Garcetti if he doesn't want you to go to the show without a mask on. So anyway, 85% of the seats at the Hollywood Bowl are reserved for those who have been vaccinated. And this vaccine thing, it's insane. I mean, I'm not saying the vaccine is insane. I'm not like the extremists who say that the vaccine is poison and they're trying to murder millions and millions of people and that it's not going to happen right away. Hang on now. The new setup, if cars drove by before, you barely heard it, and now that's not the case anymore. And when I listen to somebody like Officer Tatum, he's got no car noise. God, listen to that. That kind of shit just drives me insane. It's like, if you're going to drive your car, just drive your car. Get on past my house. Anyway, what was I talking about? Good Lord, I'm going to lose track of what I was saying. Okay, I was talking about the vaccines, and that I don't believe the vaccine is is poison. I don't think they're going to use it for population control. And the extremists will tell you, oh, no, it's not going to happen right away. It's going to happen in a couple of years. And then you're going to see people dropping like flies. And I'm sorry. You know what? If that starts happening and I'm wrong, then I was really, really had. But I just don't see that. I really don't. But anyway, so the vaccine is not terrible, but the vaccine, it doesn't seem to be productive either. And this idea that it's a vaccine at all, it's not a vaccine. So whatever, I'm getting off track here, but so fine. Some people want to get the vaccine, some people don't. But if you don't get the vaccine, you can't sit in 85% of the seats at the Hollywood Bowl. The other 15% are held back for those people who test negative within 72 hours of a show. So, and you can't buy tickets to a show 72 hours before, otherwise you're going to sit in the lawn as far back as possible. So let's say you buy a ticket for $175 to a show you want to see, and then you get a false positive on your test 65 hours before showtime, you're sunk. You have a $175 ticket, and you can't go. Plus, on top of all of this, outdoors in the summer, you have to wear a mask at the Hollywood Bowl. And I'm sure you're going to have to wear a mask at the Greek Theater because both places, like I said, they're owned by the city of Los Angeles, and it's not the producer's rule that will apply. It's the city rules. Anytime you have the government involved, especially in California, state, county, or city, unless you're in Orange County, you're going to end up with draconian rules, and people are going to have to sit there in the heat of the night wearing a mask, and they're very specific. You must have a mask on, and it must cover your mouth and your nose. So guess who's not going? No chance. There is no way I'm going to go because I'm not going to sit outside in a mask, especially when all these people, 85% of them sitting in these seats, have been vaccinated. Why do we have to wear a mask? If the mask works, why do we have to be vaccinated? And if the vaccine works, why do we have to wear a mask? I really think by next summer, all of this is going to die out, even in the state of California, because people have got to be getting sick of it. I know I was sick of it on day one. But I have got to think that this is going to become more and more annoying to people. And you're going to have people sitting there. This is something I was talking with a friend of mine, Dan, about. You're going to have people sitting there in the audience, and they're going to pull the mask down off their face. They're going to sit there in the dark and pull the mask down. And you're going to have the security guys and the ushers walking around, and they're going to shine the flashlight in your face. Like, put your mask back on. Right? And people are going to say no, and they're going to shake their head, or they're just going to ignore them. And so they're going to keep flashing the light in their face. Put your mask on, put your mask on, put your mask on, put your mask on. And people are trying to watch the concert. And so they're going to start hitting this guy over the head and tapping him on the shoulder. Come on, dude, put your mask on. We don't want to deal with this flashlight in your face, interrupting the show. It's going to be like the days of long and long ago when people would light up a joint at a concert, and the usher would walk up and shine the flashlight, put that out, put that out. And finally, the ushers just gave up because people kept doing it. That's what's going to happen with masks. People are going to start pushing their mask down. Like if you had like 2 or 3 rows of people, 12 people in a row, so you got, I don't know, you got 48 people, you got 72 people, whatever. A group of people like it matters how many. A group of people, the usher's not going to be able to get them to put their masks on. What are they going to do? Send the police over? I'm sorry. Halt. Stop the concert. Stop the concert. We cannot allow the concert to continue until everyone has their mask on. Jeez. It's all so stupid. So stupid. Insane. It's ridiculous. So anyway, with all that, I'm still not done talking about masks because you've got children now, and they have to wear a mask at school. And I'm sitting at a red light this afternoon. I'm driving home. I've got my sunroof open. I've got the music cranking up. And I'm getting a little vitamin D as I drive home. And I stop at the red light, and I'm sitting there, and I start seeing some kids from the local junior high school. They're walking across the street in the crosswalk, and they have masks on. Excuse me 1 second. So I just couldn't help but start thinking how terrible it is that we've done this to our children. And when I say our children, I'm talking about our society is doing this to children, making them afraid. And it's not just afraid. There are rules in place. And in certain cities still, you have to wear the mask outdoors, walking home from school on the sidewalk. That's ridiculous. These kids are 13, 14 years old. The coronavirus is not dangerous for them. There are exceptions, of course. I have a friend of mine, and her son has a troubled, or whatever you call it, depleted immune system. And so he's at risk. He does wear a mask, and that's understandable. But all these kids walking home with a mask on, it's 70 degrees outside, because I looked at the thermometer on my dash. 70 degrees outside, a light breeze, sunny. I mean, gorgeous, sunny. And they're wearing a mask over their face. This is just deplorable. How dare we do this to children and ruin their lives? And they don't even know their lives are ruined because they're growing up in a society that requires masks. And I think what's going to happen is that they're going to grow up afraid. You know, maybe you know some people who are germ phobic, like what's the guy's name? Howie Mandel, the comedian and the host on that entertainment competition show. And Howie Mandel, Howard Stern for that matter, also are germ phobic. This stuff with the mask makes those people who are germ phobic look like reasonable people. Having to wear a mask to go to school, having to wear a mask while you walk home. And boy, if you get on a bus, if you get on a city bus or a county bus without a mask on, they will stop the bus and call the police. And this is, 14 months after all this crap started. 14 months. And we're still dicking around with it. I can't stand it. I really can't. I hate it. All right. I think we'll go ahead and get into some wonderful audio. I'm sorry. I just looked at something. Somebody wrote me a note. That's cool. And let me get some things set up here, and I'll be right back. It's the Jimmy Z Show. Finally. Hey, hooray. And I'll be right back with much more. Thank you for listening, everybody. Potato in Chief, Joe Biden.
I'd like to talk to you about where we are as we mark 1 year since everything stopped because of this pandemic. A year ago, we were hit with a virus that was met with silence and spread unchecked. Denials for days, weeks, then months.
The Jimmy Z Show.
Remember when you lost your mind and I sat down online and told you not to listen to that Alex Jones? Well, you listened anyhow, and then your paranoia grew, and now I see you've gone completely out of your mind. And they're coming to take you away, ha-ha. They're coming to take you away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha.
To the FEMA camps, where life is wonderful all the time. And you'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and they're coming to take you away, ha-ha.
You thought that it was real, and so you freaked when Alex Jones had said that 9/11 was an inside job, right? You know you freaked. I heard you freak. You freaked and freaked and freaked, and then you left, and now I see you're utterly mad. And they're coming to take you away, ha-ha.
They're coming to take you away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To concentration camps with trees and flowers and chirping birds and basket weavers who sit and smile and twiddle their thumbs and toes, and they're coming to take you away, ha-ha.
I fed your cat, I mowed your lawn, and still you went completely nuts from listening to all of that coast to coast, right? I told you so, I warned you so, but InfoWars and Alex Jones has made you paranoid and then insane. And they're coming to take you away, ha-ha. They're coming to take you away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha.
To FEMA camps, where life is wonderful all the time. And you'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and they're coming to take you away, ha-ha.
To concentration camps with trees and flowers and chirping birds,
and basket weavers who sit and smile and twiddle their thumbs and toes, and they're coming to take you away, ha-ha.
Ted Nugent.
Joining us on the program, reporting for duty, Uncle Ted himself, Ted Nugent. How are you, sir?
Happy shot to y'all. Good to see you. Are you guys fondling hardware like I'm fondling hardware?
Not at the moment, but yes, it's been an interesting morning.
I guarantee by shaking my hand just now live on NRA radio, the whole world has got a dose of massive ballistically coefficient hardware, and I'm high on the SHOT Show. You know, I've discovered, too, I think it's important to announce this right now. They have more stuff here than I have in my truck.
The Jimmy Z Show. Jimmy Z.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Jimmy Z, the Big Jimmy Z Show. Right here in your ear. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for taking my program and passing it along to your relatives, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, all those people you know who could use a little dose of the truth. All right, next up, we're going to get into some audio, and boy, do I have a bunch of great audio. And I can't wait to share it with you. So here's the, first, since we're going to talk about audio, it's obviously time.
It's Audio Mayhem!
Yes, it's Audio Mayhem. And the first thing I have for you is Joe Scarborough. And all these people, Joe Scarborough and a bunch of others, both on the left and moderate Republicans, they're going nuts because of what happened to Liz Cheney. You know, the Republicans took her off of the out of the chairman's seat, I suppose, for the Republican Party in Congress. And they're just going crazy. And it's all about Trump, because she can't stand Trump. She can't deal with Trump at all. And she keeps talking about, I think I've got some audio, I hope so, but I heard her talking about Trump, and Trump keeps telling this lie about the election being stolen. I'm sorry, Liz. I'm sorry, people like Joe Scarborough. The election was stolen, and it's not un-American to point that out. And they keep pushing this agenda and pushing people to, they want you to believe that you are not American if you don't accept this election. What did these people do the entire time that Trump was president? The entire time, the entire 4 years, they were complaining about Trump was not properly elected president. And they kept saying he was not really the president. He is not my president. And now all of a sudden, oh, you have to accept whatever happens. You have to accept in a peaceful way the transition of power to the potato, which is, I'm sorry, absolute nonsense. So here, have a listen to Joe Scarborough.
America, love it or leave it. If you don't have respect in American democracy anymore, if you don't respect Madisonian checks and balances, if your guy doesn't win, if that's the new rules of engagement for this great republic, then just leave our country. Because you're unworthy of it. And there are millions of immigrants who will come here and raise their right hand and buy into the creed and believe that we are exceptional, that believe American democracy is the greatest government on the face of the earth. And they will do it proudly. They will salute the flag proudly. And most importantly, they will fight for what that flag represents. While you shame yourself. While you disgrace yourself, while you disgrace our country in the eyes of the world. Yes, this is all on you. Get the facts, live in the light, follow the truth, and love this country.
Okay, I would love to have heard Joe Scarborough talk like that when Trump was president. Can you imagine? Did he ever say anything even close to that? Of course not, because they hated Trump and they hated what Trump stood for. If Trump said this country was exceptional, all of these idiots said, no, it's not. We're not exceptional. Not at all. There are much better countries elsewhere. But now all of a sudden for Joe Scarborough, we are exceptional. And we must stand up for the election. And not spread lies about the election being stolen. Sorry, Joe, the election was stolen. And if nothing changes, for the rest of my life, I will believe that this election was stolen by Democrats, operatives in election tampering. It's all clear as day to me. But boy, listening to that guy talk about American exceptionalism, and if America is exceptional, does the potato really represent that exceptionalism? I don't think so. I do not think so. I don't think that the potato in chief is an accurate representation of exceptionalism. Okay, next up, this is audio from Liz Cheney being interviewed on Fox News. And some of what she says here makes me really nauseated. And remember, I used to say this makes me really nauseous, but somebody corrected me, and I haven't checked it out, actually, but somebody corrected me. It was Jim, a good friend of mine for many years and a listener, and Jim said, no, it's not. It doesn't make you nauseous. It makes you nauseated. So I was, I think I've said this before, but I was duly embarrassed to sound illiterate. But here's Liz Cheney talking about Trump. And you can tell she can't stand the guy. She really hates him. And all these people just say, oh, well, you know what? The election wasn't stolen. We have to realize, we have to admit it wasn't stolen. Everything was proper. It was not proper. And I guess I'm going to have to go through some of the reasons why we know that the election was stolen. because I've never done that on the show. I've kind of taken it for granted that everybody knows why, but I'm starting to think that perhaps it's an important thing to talk about, because you need to be prepared with an argument when somebody says, oh, you're crazy if you say that the election was stolen. You're not crazy. There's a ton of evidence, and people will always tell you, especially on Facebook, the Democrats will always say, oh, well, there were courts who looked at it and said there's no evidence here. They never reviewed the evidence. They were afraid to. I firmly believe these courts, including the Supreme Court, were afraid to look at the evidence because they would have to say, oh, wow, there's a real problem here. And then cities would burn. Black Lives Matter and Antifa would go wild in the streets, and people would destroy city blocks. I'm fully convinced that that would happen. And I think that these people on these courts were also convinced that it would happen, and they didn't want it to happen, so they didn't look at the case. They didn't look at the evidence. The evidence was not reviewed. And I'm just bouncing all over the place, aren't I? Anyway, here she is.
Congresswoman, I want to start with the decision by the House Republican caucus to remove you this week. We had Congressman Jim Banks, the head of the Republican Study Committee, on the show last Sunday, and here's what he said about this. Take a look.
We shouldn't be talking about Liz Cheney. We should be talking about pushing back against the radical Biden agenda, and this is all a distraction from our ability to be able to do that.
Banks was saying, with Republicans so close to winning back the House in the midterms next year, that the focus should be on what unites the Republican Party, which is opposition to the Biden agenda, and not picking fights with a former president who's now living in Mar-a-Lago near Palm Beach. What's wrong with that thinking?
Well, I think it is absolutely the case that we have to have the strongest position possible going forward so we can take back the House, the Senate, and the White House. The issue is that, we cannot do that if we are embracing the big lie, if we are embracing what President Trump, former President Trump, continues to say on a nearly daily basis, which is claims that the election was stolen, using the same language he used that he knows provoked violence on January 6th. In order for us to be in the strongest possible position to be able to prevail, to be able to defeat the ideas that we see coming from the other side that are really bad for the country, we have to be a party that's based on a foundation of truth. And I'm not willing to be complicit or silent in the face of those lies coming from President Trump.
Okay, I could talk. Wow, that was esophagus gurgle. I could talk about a lot of what she said here, but I want to focus on this thing where she says that Trump knew that his language prompted the insurrection, the riots on January 6th. Boy, do I hate this. That's my freaking birthday, damn it. And they have stolen my date. Because every time I hear January 6th, I think about my birthday. And now it's the day of the supposed insurrection, which it was not insurrection. It was a riot prompted by leftist agitators. And boy, if you tell Democrats that this was not insurrection and it was not conservatives, if conservatives were there that day, left to their own devices, there would simply have been a peaceful demonstration, a peaceful speaking out against this election that was stolen. But the Democrats could not stand for that. There was no way the Democrats were going to allow that to be a peaceful day, because that would have made Democrats look foolish. That would have made people look more carefully into what people were protesting. And the Democrats couldn't risk it. They could not risk that. They're still fighting. For instance, in Arizona, they are fighting against an audit. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of people finding out that the election was really stolen. But here's what Liz Cheney says, and I can't stand this, because Trump was not inciting violence.
using the same language he used that he knows provoked violence on January 6th.
Wow, what a load of nonsense. What a load of fatuous nonsense. God. Can't stand that woman. Really can't. She is not, she's acting like she wants to bring everyone together. She is a source of division. No question about it. Okay, next up, I need to play this audio. This is totally different from what we usually talk about. But there is an 11-year-old girl in Florida that was almost kidnapped. And she turned around and did something heroic and something amazing because she watches Law and Order SVU with her mother. And, you know, I'm not sure that I would let an 11-year-old watch Law and Order SVU. That's a pretty rough show. And they deal with some very adult topics. But that's beside the point because this story is really fantastic. And she ended up meeting her hero on television. And it was, they were remote. I guess Mariska Hargitay was somewhere else, but they met via television on the Today Show, which of course is NBC, and that's the same network as Law and Order, of course. And it's a great publicity stunt, but it's not just that. It's that this girl really did something amazing.
Alyssa thought we wanted to know more about how, in the heat of the moment, as she was fighting off her kidnapper, she had the presence of mind to take the blue slime she was playing with and rub it on her attacker, helping deputies later identify him.
The suspect, when we caught him, had blue slime all over his own arms.
How is it that you knew to put some blue slime on that guy?
From watching Law and Order.
So we have a little surprise for you here. You know her as Captain Olivia Benson. She's actress Mariska Hargitay.
I'm so incredibly honored to meet you. First of all, how you doing and are you okay?
I'm good.
I just want to tell you how blown away me and all of my squad are, and I think the whole world right now, that you had the forethought and the wherewithal to do what you did. And I am just blown away.
On her favorite TV show, the SVU detectives are doggedly looking for physical evidence that connects a suspect to the crime, solving the twists and turns of police investigations.
Detectives Benson and Stabler, Special Victims Unit.
The hallmark of the show for the past 22 years.
Here's a script that I signed for you, and I hope you can read that because it says, "You are my hero." You're amazing, sweetheart. You're amazing and strong and brave. And what's most important to everyone is that you're okay. And that is the most beautiful gift that we all have.
It's amazing to meet you.
Oh.
I never thought my whole entire life that I was going to be able to even meet you.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
Mariska, what would Captain Olivia Benson say to our junior detective here?
Would you like to be on my squad?
Alyssa, tell me, what are you going to watch on TV tonight?
Law and Order. Yay.
The endearing part of all of this is Alyssa doesn't even know that what she did is unusual. Her alleged kidnapper this morning remains in jail, while around the world people are really just inspired that she learned something by watching Law and Order SVU and had the presence of mind to apply it. And for those who are fans of the show and are wondering about Mariska, who actually earlier this week was in the hospital with a busted knee and a hairline fracture, she says she's doing completely fine. She didn't have to stay in the hospital. In fact, she'll be back on production later today. Hoda?
Carrie Sanders, thank you. Mariska Hargitay really does. She really walks the walk when it comes to that job. Yeah.
Yeah,
she's cool.
she's lovely, and it's nice that something good came out of a pretty tough situation.
Yep.
Okay, so of course the people on the Today Show have to go too far. And they talk about Mariska Hargitay. And she's a fine actress. She's been doing the show for 20 some odd years. And I don't have a lot against her. I'm sure her politics and mine don't go along. But for them to talk about her like she really walks the walk, She's a freaking actress. Okay, and she plays the part like they were talking to the, she was talking to the girl and she said, do you want to be a part of my squad? Okay, well, that's a TV squad. Okay, they're not really police officers. And I think they were blurring the line there between a television show and reality. And maybe that's fine for the 11-year-old girl. If it gives her a thrill after what she's been through and after what she did, I think it's a great story. But then to say that, oh, Mariska, boy, she really does walk the walk. Yeah, she walks from the set to her car and she goes home, and I'm sure she lives in a beautiful home because she makes umpteen dollars. She's not a police officer. She's not walking, whatever. I know I'm being critical where maybe it's not necessary to be critical. But at the same time, it just seems silly to me to present her like she really is very almost a cop. But it's a cool story. That girl was playing with slime, and I don't know what slime is. It looks pretty gross, and she was playing with it. She's 11 years old. What should play with anything? But she smeared that all over the guy's arms, and I guess it's very difficult to get off. And that's how police nailed him. One of the ways that police nailed him for being the one, being the guy who went after her. That's pretty amazing. Now, we've got audio here of Joe Biden as we continue with Audio Mayhem.
It's Audio Mayhem!
Okay, we've got the potato here with another winner of a brain fade. And if you haven't heard this, you are in for a treat. I laughed so hard this afternoon.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
Okay, I love it when the potato just gives up. When he gets stuck and he's talking and loses his mind, goes into a total brain fade, and tries to recover for a second and then just gives up. Anyway. Oh, man, that is so classic. I love that. I got to listen to it again.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
This guy is perfect for illustrating how hypocritical Democrats are, because they used to talk about Ronald Reagan and say that, oh, he's got Alzheimer's. Oh, he's in terrible mental shape. And now they have a potato in the White House, but because he's a Democrat, he gets a pass on all this stuff. That's the president of the United States. That's the leader of the free world. And he's incoherent. Okay, and they talked about Trump over and over again. Oh, man, I can't believe he's so embarrassing. He makes us look terrible to the rest of the world. And he's a laughingstock. He makes America a laughingstock all around the world, President Trump. President Trump was always coherent. Maybe you didn't like his mannerisms. Maybe you thought that he was rude or crass or whatever, but he was always coherent. When they interviewed him on the topics, on the issues of the day, he was always there with a response. He always had an answer. He always he was able to talk about what he was doing. He didn't need a script. He was able to answer. He didn't need crib notes. He was able to answer. This guy, the potato, in the White House, is out of his mind. And he can't even recover when he gets off track.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
Okay, and to be fair, I've done that a couple of times on this show, where I'm talking about something and I got lost and I said something like, well, anyway, just moving on. But Look, this is not the presidential podcast. I am not the leader of the free world. I am not the president of the United States. I'm not even the governor of a state. I'm not on a city council. I'm not a trash man working for the city. And so I am allowed, as a doofus with a podcast, to make mistakes and say, oh, I can't think of that guy's name. I know that sounds lame, but, it happens. But this is the president. No, he's not. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say that. He's the potato. He's the elected potato of the United States of America. And boy, he does live up to that title of potato. Okay, that's going to do it. We're back. I've got more coming up this weekend. And I want to thank you for listening, and we'll talk real soon from the right wing on the left coast. Bye-bye for now, everybody.
Jimmy Z.
Yeah.
This is my show, with which I am well pleased.
We got to get off the air.
Dorman Recorders.